The problem with this policy is the delivery. There have been numerous warnings about the implementation from people and organisations across Scotland. SNP members are saying this is an exaggeration. So let's just look at one of the many charities raising concerns. Joe Fitzpatrick, a government minister, wants to shout me down while I am speaking about a charity in Glasgow raising concerns. So maybe Joe Fitzpatrick, the First Minister, and the SNP could listen to Homeless Project Scotland. They were refused an exemption and still they heckle. Homeless Project Scotland refused an exemption to use a refrigerated van within the restricted area. Their chairman, Colin McInnes, said it helps to feed 300 people every day. It collects food from 15 to 20 businesses in the city centre, right at the heart of the Low Emission Zone. His message was simple. Exemptions for exceptional circumstances must be reviewed. Mr McInnes continued, if 300 people queuing for many hours for food on the streets of Glasgow is not exceptional, then they need to publish what is exceptional. Does Humza Yousaf agree this outstanding charity deserves an exemption from this scheme?
First Minister.
I do commend the work that's done by the Homeless Project in Glasgow. We do have to ask ourselves, of course, why are they having to feed so many people in any given week? And that's undoubtedly the case because of over a decade of Tory austerity, because of a cost of living crisis, because of high inflation, because of high energy costs. That is why, of course, they're having to do the work that they're having to do. I would urge Glasgow, as they have already done in my understanding, to engage with the third sector, with charities, including, of course, the Homeless Project. Glasgow have been very transparent. The application process for time-limited exemptions in Glasgow is published on the Glasgow City Council website. There has been, of course, a lead-in time in relation to the LEZ being introduced. So we know, of course, that there is an exemption process, but clearly it is imperative on all of us, whether it's the public who are in Glasgow, whether it's charities, whether it's the third sector, and all of us, to have to make sure we are doing everything possible in our gift to tackle the serious problems around air pollution. I go back to what I said in my first answer, Presiding Officer. Time and time again, Douglas Ross will stand up and demand we do more to tackle the climate emergency. But whether it's on DRS, whether it's on the workplace parking levy, whether, of course, it's on LEZs, he will oppose. And why will he oppose? Not because, of course, anything to do with any principled stance in relation to the climate emergency. He opposes it simply because the SNP proposes it, and that is not good enough.
Douglas Ross.
I oppose it when the SNP make a shambolic mess of every one of these schemes that they bring in. And the First Minister wants to commend Homeless Project Scotland, but refuses to stand up and say their one van that helps to feed 300 people every day should get an exemption. That is not commending a charity. That is condemning them and their inability now to do the work they want to do.